Okay, so when I was 17, I bought my first car. And it wasn't like, whoa, like that's such an extravagant car. It was just a regular little car. It was a Chevy Malibu. I called my car Tony Montana. It was like a little drug dealer car. It had like 5% tinted windows, blue inside lights, and big ass bass. Like, it was just a cool little car, at least for a teenager. Bueno pues, I bought my car the day before, and then the next day I had to go to work. Bueno pues, I get to work and I park in the parking lot. I walk into work and I think nothing of parking my car there. I didn't think anything would happen to it. That was until rush hour. So we're literally in the middle of rush hour. We're so busy, there's so many people coming in and out of the store, in and out of drive-thru. And that specific day I was on sandwich station for drive-thru. So obviously I was busy. I wasn't paying attention to anything except for the orders on the screen. While I'm making the burgers, I hear one of my coworkers go, "Hey Stephanie, somebody hit your car." And I was like, "What do you mean someone hit my car?" And she was like, "I don't know, someone just said they hit a gold car outside and they left." I was pissed. I literally took off my gloves, I took off my apron, I took off my hat, I took out everything. And I remember I walked outside. I left the entire station. Obviously someone just hit your car, like you're gonna walk out there. So I walk outside and there's nobody there. I go to my car and they hit my bumper. They like scrape the whole side. And then my manager comes outside and we're like, "Where the hell is this person at?" So I'm standing there and I'm trying to figure out what to do next. It was my first time ever with a car, so I didn't know what to do. Like, what do you do when you're in an accident or something like that, you know? So as I'm standing there, I see this little old lady pull up. I go up to her and I'm like, "Ma'am, did you see who hit my car?" And she was like, "No, I didn't see anything." So I was like, "Okay, well, thank you." After that, my other manager comes out and she was like, "Stephanie, what the hell happened?" And I told her someone hit my car and left. And she was pissed off, guys. Like, I think she was more mad than me, and it wasn't even her car. So she was saying all these things. She was pissed off, and then the old lady drove away. And like I said in the other video, rush hour had just began when this happened. So there was all these cars going through drive-thru and everyone was being chismosos. One of the men saw one of my managers screaming and he was like, "Are you okay? What happened, guys?" And I was like, "It's okay, sir, thank you." And we were just trying to figure out what to do next because obviously it was a hit and run. So about 2 minutes after that, the old lady pulls up again. She comes up to me and she's like, "I'm so sorry, I'm the one who hit your car." Y pues, obviously I changed my tone because I'm not about to yell at a little old lady. I'm not like that. And I told her, I was like, "It's okay, ma'am. I just thought you hit my car and left because I didn't see anyone out here when I came out." And she was like, "Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I just got scared." The reason she was scared is because she heard my manager and me and everybody else like that pissed off. And we were saying some not so nice things. So, I mean, I understood why she was a little scared. I changed the way I was acting when I found out it was an old lady, but everybody else was still pretty mad. We ended up changing information and then the lady left. After that, we went to go check the security cameras and we saw that she intentionally hit my car. We don't know what she was doing, but she had all the space in the world to drive away, and instead she ended up hitting my car somehow. Story time! So this is a story about the time I saw the KKK outside my apartment complex. So I was staying the night at my cousin's house, who lives across the street from me in the apartment complex. We were about to go to sleep when we started to see some random flashes of light every couple of seconds. So we looked outside the window and it stopped and we ended up laying back down, but then it started happening again. 5 minutes later, my aunt comes in to check on us and we told her what was going on. That's when me, my cousin, and my aunt decided to go outside to see what it was. We didn't see any lights and the night was also really clear, so there was no lightning. After a few seconds, I look over to the side of the apartment near the entrance and I see someone who looked like they were wearing some sort of dress walking near the exit. We weren't able to see the top half of their body because the tree was blocking the view and I was kind of creeped out, but we didn't think anything of it. We kept staring in their direction and then that's when they started running the other way and we saw the cone-shaped hat and we realized what we were looking at. My heart dropped and a rush of fear went through my whole body. My aunt sent us inside so fast and we were terrified. We were all people of color, so we were all really scared. To this day, we still don't know where the flashing lights were coming from and we haven't seen one of the members since. This was only 2 days ago. Story time! Okay, so when I was in 7th grade, I decided to go to school in my new white jeans. I love the jeans and my mom had bought them for me even though I told her not to because they were expensive. So I guess you would consider me a late bloomer because I hadn't started my period yet. That was until the day I decided to wear my new white jeans to school. I was walking to my 4th period class when this guy said, "Ew, she's on her period." After that, other people started talking about it. I was minding my own business because I didn't notice and nobody had told me that I had a red stain in my new white jeans the whole day of school. At the end of the day, we were all leaving and my friend tells me that my pants are stained. I was obviously in shock and I quickly covered my pants with my backpack. I then asked one of them, "Did I barely get it?" And she said, "No, you've had it the whole day." And then they started laughing at me. I was having mixed emotions and I didn't know if I was sad or if I just wanted to laugh. The next day, my crush comes up to me and he says, "Hey, I hope you don't stain your pants again today." And then he walked away laughing. I was crying so hard I ran to the bathroom and I stayed there until my 6th period started. When I went to class, everyone was whispering and looking at me. I sat down and put my head down and the teacher said, "Are you okay?" I then told her what happened and she loudly said, "Everyone listen up. All girls eventually get their period and there's nothing to be ashamed of. It's normal for a girl to have their period, so if you have something else to say, you could say it to my face." After that, everyone went quiet and I was so grateful for my teacher for standing up for me. Fast forward a bit, I entered 8th grade and I heard that she passed away and I was so sad but so grateful at the same time because I remembered that she had stood up for me that day. Story time! Okay, so my dad's ex-girlfriend is crazy. So I am my dad's oldest daughter and I met my dad's now ex-girlfriend about 2 years ago. At first, she was a great stepmom and we were very close. But as she grew more comfortable in the house, she became very jealous. She would get mad at any little thing I did, like if I went out to go eat with my mom or if I went clothes shopping with my dad. It was simple things like that she would get mad about and she would always ask why she isn't being taken out to go eat or buy clothes. My dad eventually got tired of the daily fighting and they broke up about a month ago. Fast forward a bit and I found out that his ex got an apartment down the street from us. She does it to stay close and still bothers my dad and I. She would literally be parked outside in her car with her young kids in the middle of the night begging my dad to get back with her. We have gotten the cops involved several times, but of course, they can't do anything about it. My dad has tried to be strong and not reply to her, but she always ends up sending emails threatening him, so he gets scared and ends up texting her back. So I ended up blocking her and her kids' phone numbers and her social media so she doesn't try to contact me. But that hasn't stopped her because she has made over 20 fake numbers to spam me with insults and long paragraphs about how I am the problem and I am the reason that they can't be together. She even went as far as having her family members text me to tell me how I'm being childish, petty, fake, two-faced, and that I am sloppy at everything I do. Which isn't true because I help my dad around the house a lot, and I also do art for people, dye hair, braid hair, and make clothes. I have learned to ignore them all because they're all sick in the head, but it really doesn't bother me anymore because I am a very hard worker and no 16-year-old should be put down by a 40-year-old over a breakup. Okay, so I went to his class after school. I walk into class and there's all these other students and then I soon realized that there was college students there teaching us how to play. So they were busy, so I ended up going to sit down. I take out my instrument and I get it ready. And one thing I didn't understand is that school was literally about to end in a week, so I didn't understand why my teacher all of a sudden wanted to help everyone when he could have helped everyone earlier in the year. So I'm sitting down and a college student comes up to me. And he was like, "Okay, can you play this note and play this and that?" A minute passes by and it was pretty obvious that I knew what I was doing, so his attention went from me to the saxophone. He then tells me, "Okay, play this note." I play it and he was just like, "Okay, well, can you give me your instrument really quick?" I give him my instrument and he switches my reed to his reed and he plays a note and it comes out really bad. So we'll call my teacher Mr. L. So the college student says, "Hey, Mr. L, can you come here really quick?" My teacher comes up to us and the guy was like, "So I think this saxophone is broken." My teacher asked why and the guy was like, "Well, whenever you press a key and play it, it doesn't come out right." So the guy started to show him and that's when all of a sudden my teacher was interested in my instrument. And then my teacher goes, "Oh yeah, it is broken. I'll make sure to let the school know." And I was just sitting there like, "Pinche pendejo, yo te dije." So then I went home and I told my mom, I was like, "I told you, I told him, I told everybody," and nobody believed me. And then the worst part is that this man still had the audacity to fail me at the end of the year. Story time! Okay guys, grab your colchas, grab your paletas, grab your elote, grab whatever you're getting because this one, I'm still mad about this. So when I was little, I played instruments. It was my very first talent. If you were to give me an instrument, I could learn everything in 2 weeks. So I started playing instruments I think when I was like 8 or 9, right? I continued to play different instruments and when I got to 6th grade, I decided that I was going to play the saxophone that year. Now, one thing, my family was not rich. We could not afford to buy me a brand new instrument every year, so I would get instruments from the school instead. I remember I got my saxophone one day. I go home and I try to play it and it comes out really ugly, like it was just bad. And I just kind of figured, okay, maybe it's me because I'm just starting. I continued to play and play and play and I was not getting better at all. I ended up telling my teacher, I was like, "Hey, I think this saxophone is broken." He told me, "No, it's not broken, it's just you." So in my head as a little kid, I was like, okay, maybe it is just me. Maybe I just suck at playing this instrument. I kept practicing and nobody was listening to me. I told my mom, I told the teachers, I told everybody. I was like, this instrument is broken. The teacher did not care and he continued to fail me. And I continued to get into trouble at home because I was failing band. How are you gonna fail something you're talented at? So I would get into trouble every single time that report card would come in. They'd be like, you're still failing band, what the hell? And I would get a straight F. It wasn't like, oh, you got a D+. No, he gave me an F. So eventually I just gave up and I was like, you know what? I'm tired of this. Ya no puedo jugar. Nadie me está haciendo caso. I'm done. So then one day the teacher was like, hey, you're gonna come in after school so we can teach you how to play. And of course I went. Okay, so the coach told me to get up, but I couldn't. So then here's the thing, guys. I had played soccer for a very long time and I have gotten hurt really, really bad multiple times, and I was always able to get up and just deal with it and continue playing. But obviously he didn't know that, so I feel like he just thought I was being dramatic. I wasn't crying or anything, but I feel like in his eyes I was being dramatic because I couldn't get up. So I tried to get up one last time, but then I ended up falling. And I see his facial expression change, and I think that's when he realized that something was wrong. So he helps me get up and we hop over to the other side of the gym and he sits me down on the floor. He's checking on my foot and then he's like, okay, I'm gonna be right back. I'm gonna go get the basketball coach because he knows more than me. And I'm just sitting on the floor chilling. I didn't feel any pain. I was just sitting there like nothing. I think it was because I had an adrenaline rush, so luckily I didn't feel anything. The basketball coach comes and he checks on my foot and he's asking me what I can feel and what I can't. And then he tells me, yeah, I think you broke your foot. So they get me a wheelchair and they roll me out of the gym, and for some reason the security guard left me in the cafeteria. By this time it was already lunch, so there were some people out and I seen some people that I knew. And they were asking me why I was in a wheelchair, and I told them it was because I broke my foot. But they didn't believe me. They just looked at me like, okay, pinche mentirosa. After that, that's when the principal came out of nowhere and she was like, hey, get out of that chair. Where did you get that chair? And I was like, ma'am, I broke my foot. And I could tell she was surprised too because I wasn't like crying in agony. Like, it was just a foot. So then they take me to the office and they call my mom, and I went to the hospital where they later confirmed that I broke my foot. They get me a cast, and that's when it hit me because I remember that soccer tryouts were 2 weeks away. The next day I get to school and everyone was shocked because I actually broke my foot even though I looked perfectly fine. I walk into class and there's the guy whose foot I landed on. And one of the people in class were like, hey, you broke Stephanie's foot. And the guy was like, no way. He turns around and he looks at my cast and he was like, I'm so sorry. And I could tell that he felt so bad. The guys in the class proceeded to give him shit for the next week, and he continued to apologize to me multiple times. I want to say it took him like 2 weeks to finally stop feeling bad, but I was never mad at him, nor did I think it was his fault because it wasn't an accident. Plus, I was the one who landed on his foot. And in the end, I ended up missing my first year of high school soccer. Story time! Okay guys, so I have played soccer ever since I was in 1st grade. I even went to soccer games while I was still in the womb, and then when I came out, I went to soccer games and then I started playing. So soccer was a big thing for me. I was an athlete and I was also a musician. So I played my entire life at this rec center, and then when I got to freshman year of high school, I played for the very last time in the fall. And then in the spring, I was going to play for high school. So I began to involve myself in like the soccer meets and everything that was going on for girls soccer. And I was really excited to play, like it was going to be my first year of high school soccer. So 2 weeks before tryouts, I'm in gym. And we were having those like team sport things. So everybody in the gym was split up. Some people were playing basketball, some were playing dodgeball, and I was playing soccer that day. It was a mix of everybody, so everyone was playing. And there was this one guy who I was friends with, and he liked soccer just as much as me. He was just as competitive as me. We're playing together, and at one point, someone kicks the ball up in the air. Me and him both jumped to hit the ball with our heads. And he was taller than me, so he landed first on the ground. And as I'm falling back down to the ground, I accidentally step on his foot. All of a sudden, I just hear a loud That's literally what it sounded like. I fall on the ground and I'm like, oh shit, what just happened? And the coach looks at me and he's like, well, get up. And I try to get up, but I just end up falling again. And he comes up to me, he's like, Steph, if you want to play soccer, you can't be falling on the ground like that. You gotta get up. And I looked at him, I was like, coach, I cannot get up. Like, I can't stand. Story time! Okay, so this one time a while back, I had this boyfriend. So one day he told me that there was a new student at school and that he would be taking care of them for the first week. And obviously at first I was fine with it until he started canceling all the plans that we would make for the week. His excuse would be that he had to help and study with the new student. And at the time, I didn't know that that student was a girl. So after the week had finished, I thought that everything would go back to normal and that we could start hanging out again. But when I told him that, he said that the new student still needed his help because they had bad anxiety. After that, I found out it was a girl because I saw them in the hallway talking, but I didn't think anything of it. So while all of this was happening, I was telling my friends and they told me that it was really suspicious, which made me even more curious. Fast forward a bit, and one day he tells me that him and the new student had gotten into after-school detention and that he would have to stay back at school. I go home and I felt sad and I missed him a lot, so I decided to bake him some cookies. When I got to his house to drop them off, no one answered the door, so I climbed from the back because I knew the back door was always unlocked. I decided to go put them in his room, but when I walked in, I saw something horrible. I saw my boyfriend and the new student doing the you-know-what. I stood there in shock looking at him, but then I started yelling and the new student ran out of the house. My boyfriend tried to apologize, but I was just so angry that I ended up leaving. They continued seeing each other, and every day at school, I would see them still together, but I would just ignore them. Story time! So one day in 2016, I was with my friends and there was about 4 or 5 of us. This specific day, we were chilling at a park minding our own business when my friend sees this guy from the corner of his eye. The man was just staring at us, which was super creepy, so we decided to move spots. But the second we stand up, this man stands up too, so at this point we're thinking he's either a pedo or a creep. After that, we booked it out of there, but we realized halfway to my friend's house that the man was following us, and at this point all of us were panicking. My friends whose house we were supposed to go to started saying that we should run, and my other friends started saying that we should go to a store. At this point, they were debating on what to do, but keep in mind that this creep was still following us. That's when I told my friends to stop because I saw a hair salon nearby. So we start running towards the hair salon, but this guy ends up running after us. Luckily, we made it in first and we shut the door and we were all panicking and we ended up telling the person at the front desk what happened. She locks the salon doors and calls the police, and it takes the police like 10 minutes to get there. But obviously the man was already at the door before police could arrive. He started banging on the door and he suddenly stops and stares at me, and then we just start making eye contact. He keeps staring at me and I am absolutely terrified at this point. Finally, the police came and they took him away, but to this day, I am still very terrified. Story time! Okay, so when I was a freshman, I went to Disney with a boy that I liked. He was a junior at the time and we went on March 7th, 2020. So he lived like 5 minutes away from me, and that day my sister decided to pick him up on the way over there, and it was a last-minute decision. Now, my brother has a girlfriend that is 6 years older than him. She is our tenant and she lives downstairs in our duplex. So apparently she had found out that I went to Disney with the guy I liked and lied to my mother 6 months after the event took place. And out of all the days she could have said this, she said it on my birthday, which is September 19th. She claimed that she saw us unsupervised by my sister at Disney and that she saw us making out and doing other stuff. I did admit to my mom that I had a crush on him, but nothing happened between us because we ended up bumping into more people from school and we were never alone. The day after Disney, he even ended up getting a new girlfriend. And to this day, my mom wants to meet him and she believes that we're still together. Now, because my brother's girlfriend told her that, she always tells me to not sneak around or go behind her back because that's how young girls get pregnant. And just an FYI, I have never snuck out of my house before and I never will because I'm so scared.